Welcome everybody to the Scale and Leverage Your Business with Josh. This is Schoenly, right?
It is.
You know what? It's always people mispronounce it, right? Schoenly, and it's Schoenly.
Oh, Schoenly is a nice mispronunciation.
All right, so Schoenly,
That
Josh
that's
Schoenly.
that one's easily acceptable. We get all kinds of crazy attempts to participate
So
or
for those
to
of you that are newer to Street Text, Josh is a huge presence in the community, always giving back. He's kind of known as the marketing guru in the group. He's kind of the scale and leverage guy. So you're in for something special today. We're going to be talking about systems, strategies, processes, and really how to scale and leverage your business, as we were talking about in the title. So, Josh, without further ado, you have the platform, and just let me know how I can assist you.
Yeah, right on. So I think it makes sense to start with a little bit of um, sort of I guess mindset or proper expectation type of thinking, right? Because if you go into anything, whether it be using street text or any kind of marketing campaign or anything, in other areas of life outside of business, if you don't have the right expectation and mindset, you're setting yourself up for failure. So the way I think about generating leads and building a pipeline and a database is is to remember always that we don't directly control when a prospect is ready to buy and sell real estate. There are things we can do to compel them or maybe motivate them to some level, right? And get them excited about the process, maybe more so than not. But ultimately, we don't have direct control over that, right? I mean, it's just, their motivation is their motivation, right? And whatever that may be. I think what we do have control over, or what I know for sure we do have control over, is putting things into place, having best practices, automated follow-up, a manual follow-up process, things of that nature, so that when their motivation hits a tipping point, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, they are reaching out to you, whether it be by phone, text, email, Facebook Messenger, whatever the platform is that they choose to reach out to you. And not only are they reaching out to you, but if you've done your job correctly with your follow-up and the things that we're going to talk about and unpack here, when you do that correctly, they're reaching out to you in a non-competitive situation. In other words, they've already decided to do business with you. I mentioned this, I think, on a recent mastermind. I have a listing presentation that I take in my car with me. I don't remember the last time I've done an actual listing presentation. And I'm not anti that, but most times I'm meeting with people that have already decided that I've got their business. And so I just have to do a good job of not dropping the ball, right? Of not losing their business. Answer questions, ask good questions, etc. And so the course that I've put together for everyone who may be interested is designed to create a situation and an environment for your business where that happens, where and we're going to share some best practices and some specific actionable things that you can do, whether or not you invest in the course today, right? Things that you can go and implement with your existing database and with your future database. I'm going to give you a number of things there, but it's all centered around creating a situation where when that potential client, when that motivation hits a tipping point, they're reaching out to you. And I guess one analogy for this, and I don't know that it's the best analogy, but if you think about it like a spider web, right? You're trying to create a web to catch the right prospects and get them, in your database, et cetera. The part I don't like is like we're trying, the spiders try to catch their prey, right? We're not preying on people, right? But we want to create a situation where they don't forget about you, right? That's the way I think about sort of the long-term follow-up, is just ensuring that they don't forget about you, and that you continue to put, make deposits with those folks in the bank of goodwill with them. So, for example, and we'll get into this more, but right before this, I actually scheduled one of the things that I think is one of the core tenets that you should all be doing in your business, which is sending a weekly email to your entire database. And this is something that I've been doing in various businesses since the mid 2000s, a weekly email. And right before coming on here, I actually scheduled mine for tomorrow. I send my weekly email out every Friday morning at 8 a.m. And so I've got a little bit of a crazy day tomorrow. I have some travel. So I scheduled that to go out. And that is one way that I make sure that clients don't forget about me. At a minimum, if nothing else happens, every Friday morning, everybody in my database sees my name. And whether they open it and consume any of the content in it or not, they see my name, right? It's a deposit, and it's doing several things. Number one, it's reminding them of me. Number two, it's demonstrating for them consistency, that not only am I still in the business, but I can be trusted. Every Friday, I send you your weekly market update, right? So that's an example of one of the things that long-term I believe and have experienced to have a huge, to play a huge part in maximizing the ROI of your database, in making sure that when that potential client, when their motivation hits the tipping point, that they're coming to you and not going to someone else, right? I mean, there's all these surveys out there, and I'm sure you've heard them before, where consumers are asked, if they had a good experience in their last real estate transaction, and most of the time the answer is yes. And then when they ask, like, do you remember who your real estate agent was, or would you transact with them again? Most of the time is yes, and yet it doesn't happen. Like, the stats show that people, a lot of consumers don't end up using the same agent. Well, why is that? A, unfortunately, we have a high turnover rate in this industry, but B, it may be that they've dropped the ball on staying in touch with them. So, and I see Jennifer says, that bi-weekly, whatever the frequency that makes sense for you, but choose something and make that a tenant for you and your business. So I want to unpack this, the kind of like the process that I see, that and the things that you need to have in place in an ideal scenario, to make sure that when you're generating new leads, whether you're using, the downsizing offer, which is working great right now, or whether you're using, a new construction related offer, or an area homes type offer, and even, whether you're generating home value leads, like, what does that look like? I'm going to try something here. I probably should have tested this. Oh, no, it doesn't even. Well, I was going to try and do a whiteboard on the screen, but let's just talk through it. So we've got, let's say we're using a lead form, right? A lead ad type campaign, downsizing, for example. Well, there are a number of things that you want to have happen after someone submits their information and opts in, right? Number one, we need to make good on the thing that we're offering them, right? We don't want them to feel like there's any kind of bait and switch involved. So, and this is something that I touched on briefly yesterday as a follow-up to something Troy was unpacking on the mastermind. When they submit their information, we have the ability to send them somewhere. And what I would recommend, and I unpack in the course for everybody, is how to create a thank you page where you can make good on the thing that you're promising, deliver to them the thing that you're offering, and do so with a video from you so you can start to build rapport, know, like, and trust, things of that nature with them, right? And so immediately after opt-in, you get to work, you set to work on making deposits of goodwill with that potential client, right? And so after that, we also want to make sure that they're getting email, they're getting text message. If you have the ability to do ringless voicemail and the ability to do direct mail, right? You want to be hitting these people on, not hitting them. You want to be following up with these folks in every imaginable medium and platform. And now with street text, you can even do it through retargeting messaging, right? So you end up back in their feed, you're in their inbox, their email inbox, you're in their text inbox, and you're in their actual mailbox. And those are sort of our best practices. And the thing to remember with all of that short-term follow-up, this is a simple thing, but it's an important thing to remember. All we're trying to do is start a conversation. That's it. You should not be trying to sell yourself. Okay? You shouldn't be trying to list their property or to get a buyer agency contract from them. You're simply trying to start a conversation. And so when you keep that in mind, it's important to remember to ask simple binary questions that are easy for the potential client to answer. Do you have a home to sell, right? Or are you, Logan had a great one, frame yesterday. Like, do you own a home currently, or are you renting right now? Okay. Wendy had a great one too. I can't remember. You know what? I made a note here. It was so good. I think I made a note of that. Maybe somebody remembers. Wendy had a great sort of binary a yes, no type of answer. But you can ask, how many bedrooms? Okay. You can ask things like, are you looking for a single family or a townhome? Things of that nature to open the conversation. And then as you have that conversation, you can ask and lead into more open-ended questions. And a key factor to remember there is, for as long as possible, you want to continue that conversation on the platform it was on. A huge mistake I see people make, and I've seen it for years, is you get a response through email or text or Facebook Messenger, and you immediately want to take the conversation to the phone. And that can be that can be a repellent to the person on the other side. So keep the conversation going for as long as possible on the medium that the conversation began until it's a necessity to change the channel. Maybe they ask. Maybe there's something that comes up where, they say, well, it's kind of a complicated situation. And you ask, would it be easier if we just had a quick chat on the phone? Right? But for you to force that before it naturally makes sense is a surefire way to repel the prospect and lose them really forever. Because then what you're demonstrating is you're just like every other real estate agent that they perceive, which is, like it or not, we don't have a great reputation, generally speaking, in the public. You come off as having commission breath. Okay. So keep that going on the channel that it started for as long as possible until it naturally needs or has to transition off of that. And the point is that initial sort of short-term follow-up is all of the scripts, all of the examples that you'll see in the course, they're all designed to open a conversation, to create a conversation opportunity so that you can determine several things. Okay, these are the important questions that you need to ask yourself as you have these conversations. Can I help this person, and how? Can I help this person, and how? And third, when? Okay, because you can't help everyone. So for example, I had a conversation with a street text lead yesterday where they shared, I opened a conversation. We were texting back and forth. And I was able to obtain, that the fact that they're looking in a specific school district. They were looking for a single family house with a yard, and they'd like a new construction home, brand new. We also determined the fact that their budget is around $250,000. Well, in that school district, a new construction single family home, the lowest starting price is $465,000. So I've had a conversation. I've determined that I might or might not be able to help this person. We either need to readjust our expectation levels, or we need to be patient until there's an increase in income, or they win the lottery or something, right? But all along the line that you're having this conversation, you're trying to decide those three things, right? Can I help this person? How and when do they need my help? And then the transition there. So we use the short-term follow-up to get into those conversations. And then once we've had that conversation, then we create a custom plan moving forward specific for that client. Okay. Whether that be as simple as, a custom property alert, and, knowing that they said, they're 3 months out. So we're going to create a custom property alert, and we're going to make a note to follow up with them in, say, 45 to 60 days, because we want to cut that in half. The long-term plan needs to include things like the weekly email or the biweekly email, whatever frequency. Needs to include things like scripts and templates, like I share on Texting Tuesdays. For those of you who have heard of that, that's something I do on my YouTube channel every Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, where we're trying to re-engage with old clients and things of that nature, as well as making sure that they're getting some follow-up, automated follow-up from you every single week or month. Okay. And so things that go into that. So I want to get tactile here. I'm going to share, I'm going to show the actual course. Inside the course, we'll let everybody know how you can get access. And then I want to open it up for Q&A, because I like that more than anything. So some things that you should do with every one of your past database. So whether they're street text leads, etc. I mentioned one already, a weekly or biweekly email. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you're using HomeBot, get every one of those into HomeBot. Okay. Number three, if you're using a platform like KV Core or similar, you want to make sure that they also are set up on either a market report or an automated search alert, an automated property alert of some kind. If you don't have KV Core, you can do that in your MLS. Every MLS has that functionality. And in fact, somebody mentioned that, I think, on yesterday's mastermind or last week's mastermind. That's part of his protocol. Is every lead, he manually creates an account in his MLS for those folks. Okay. Is that tedious? Yes. However, doing that manual work it does a number of different things. It creates a connection with that client in our minds, right? And you're going above and beyond what they can go and do and create on Zillow and Realtor.com, things of that nature, Redfin, right? You're going the extra mile to some degree. The other thing that we want to do with every one of those, where you have a mailing address, at least at my recommendation, is at minimum quarterly sending some kind of direct mail. So if you have determined through what we call dispositioning of every lead, right? You've determined this is a homeowner, right? This is, and we know their address. Hitting them on those different medium is going to be how you can make sure that when their motivation hits that tipping point, they're reaching out to you. So sending a direct mail piece, whether it's a thank you card or a postcard, et cetera, and we're going to unpack, and I'll show you some examples of that as well. And then for those new leads, the three things that I recommend you do with every one of them, similar, but we're talking about one-time work for the old past leads, and then setting up systems and automation where possible to make sure that this happens for those new leads are, for example, if you're using the downsizing campaign, the downsizing ad, you want to make sure that not only are we delivering the properties that they requested up front, but that they continue to get those listings moving forward, right? That's like the simplest, easiest long-term thing you can do, is making sure that they're getting those listings and they're getting them from you, whether it's directly in your MLS or whether it's with KV Core or whatever platform you're using. We also, part of our process here in this dispositioning is that what we call the fully dispositioning is going and finding which of those leads, for example, the downsizing offer, own a property. And I think it was Troy or maybe Logan, had mentioned that campaign, for example, is really a seller ad disguised as a buyer ad, right? And so you're going to find that many of those people own a home. So why are we going to go through that work? We're going to go through that work so we can put them in HomeBot, so we can get them set up on a market update for their zip code, and so that we can send them direct mail if that's part of our strategy, which it is, part of ours in my personal production. And then the last thing we're going to do is make sure that we've got some sort of retargeting in place, whether you're using street text or part of one of the bonuses that is included with the course that we're releasing here today is all around retargeting, where you can use the easy button, the street text easy button, or for those of you that want to get a little bit more technical nitty gritty, you can do some of that yourself. So here's what I want to do at this point. I'm going to share my screen and kind of show the different modules and unpack that a little bit. We'll let you know how you can get it, get access and get it at a drastic discount today. And then let's open it up for Q&A and unpack things, dive a little bit deeper, etc. So let me make sure I've got the right thing here. All right. Okay. So when you log into the course, and I froze it there at a beautiful still shot of myself. When you log in, you're going to see that there are a number of different modules. And so the way we've broken this down is starting off with sort of three different buckets, because the way I look at street text is there are really, three different types of buckets of pipelines or ads that you can, ad campaigns you can create. Number one is home value seller leads. And there's different ad copy you can use, et cetera. But really all of those leads that come through the home value, the home value flow, they all fit under that category. And so in that module, we unpack our process for what we do with partial data, right? Address only. What we do with full data, what we do to get that full data, and then how we deploy a multifaceted multimedia campaign to all of those leads. Okay, and you get the exact scripts, etc. Email, text, ringless voicemail, the exact direct mail that we send. All of that is under that category. The next category, or sort of buckets of leads, would be what I describe as buyer lead on demand. So the downsizing offer, whether it be, I know Janky, she uses primary on main, right? Primary, I know we can't say, we're not allowed to say master on main anymore, but a primary suite on the first floor. I think that's been a really successful ad for her. I know lots of people have had success with, offering to get a list of properties under X amount in blank area. And so all of that to me falls under what I call sort of buyer lead on demand. And so in that module, we unpack how we treat them differently, the smart campaign, the different components, and how we set them up both short-term and long-term to make sure that we're maximizing our ROI potential. The last bucket is for specific listings when you're promoting a specific listing, because that's different, right? That's people requesting information about a specific property, right? And so we've got an entire process and system for how we how we onboard those leads, and the short-term follow-up campaign for that, and then the long-term follow-up process as well. The next module is the long-term follow-up tips and resources. So for example, a walkthrough of the weekly email that I mentioned that I send to my entire database. And you'll see the different buckets of content that we include. And there's a whole bunch of examples of my actual emails to my database. Then the next module is all about this full dispositioning of every lead. Okay. If you really want to maximize your ROI, I think this is the biggest area of opportunity for everyone on here, is that full dispositioning of every lead. And whether you do it yourself or you have a VA do it or an assistant do it, this is, I think, if you're going to invest the time, money, and energy to build your database with a platform like StreetText, then you should be ready, willing, and able to do this work. Otherwise, you're just wasting money. You're really just wait. You're not fully maximizing on those opportunities. Okay, and so I'll give a very tangible example of that. The first transaction I ever did with StreetText was the first. I can't remember if it was the first lead, but it was the first address-only lead that I generated using StreetText. I ended up listing because of this idea of fully dispositioning the lead, because I went the extra mile to find more information about this interested party, and I sent them a packet, direct mail, and that's what created that opportunity. It opened a conversation, and just to put a button on that story, those were they had already decided who they were going to list with. And because of that extra effort, because of me fully dispositioning, I ended up getting the listing when they had already decided that they were going to list with somebody else. Anyway, and then the bonus content that we've put in here, some of it is specific for KV Core. So for example, if you're a KV Core user, we've got campaign share codes where we can literally, we can transfer into your account specific campaigns, and we've got a number of in there. I don't even remember how many, but there are a number of share codes that we've got available. All of these. So we've got home value.
Hey everyone. So in this
cash
video,
offer.
How to take the campaign share
these
code.
Autoplay. And so we've got a whole bunch of share codes, so you're not starting from scratch. So for example, the 12 seller tips. We've got buyer offer, listing offer, luxury campaign. We'll get the downsizing in there as well. We've got an entire smart campaign for that as well. Another one of the bonuses that we put together is something I call organic onslaught. And this is a way you can use StreetText and the home value flow to generate free seller leads on Facebook. So you need the home value flow to generate the seller leads to do this process. But I walk you through how you can do that and really theoretically create a never-ending flow of seller leads at no cost. It involves some work, and you have to have the StreetText platform, but free ways to generate leads. And then that is more on the home value. We also have a process for how you can do that with buyer offers and even your listings. We've got an entire swipe file of all the StreetText ad examples, campaigns that we've created with StreetText that have been successful in our business. And then an entire bonus area all around thanks.io, which is a direct mail platform that we use heavily with the leads that we generate on StreetText. And so all of the templates, the different postcards, the different letters, and note cards, thank you cards, things of that nature, all of that, how we're using it, and how you can do the same. And with any of that stuff, I will also very transparently say, if you get stuck on any of this, like if you invest in the course today and you need some help, if you reach out to our support, we'll either get it set up for you, or we'll get you everything you need to remove those hurdles and roadblocks. I've got an amazing right-hand man by the name of Mike, who is incredible about integrating all of this stuff and setting it all up for you. So, Marcus, do we have the link for folks who are interested?
Sure.
And put that in the chat, and then I want to open it up for.
Do you mind, Josh, if I just add something really quick too?
Please.
So I was going through your course today. I mean, everybody here, if you don't know who Josh is, I mean, he's an incredible marketer. I mean, he really, really knows this stuff inside and out. The only thing the caveat I'd add to that too, though, for those of you that are interested in this course, is like, it's going to be lifetime, right? So when you get access to it, Josh is going to be adding more things, and he's going to be updating and adding to it. So there's so much value in that alone. But keep in mind that if you take action on this, Josh he's got so many systems and so many things figured out, and it's so natural and easy for him that just keep in mind when you hop in, some of it, you might be like, oh, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And Josh has got an incredible team that can help you on that front. But just keep that in mind. It's not, there's some assumptions here coming into it that you have a little bit of an understanding on how to, use Zapier and use StreetText and use your CRM. And if you do grab the course, just know that coming in, because it's worth your time to go through it. But there are a couple things or a couple skills that might be totally brand new that you previously maybe haven't used before. And some of you, it'll be a piece of cake, but for others, it might be the first time. But the value in it is worth so much more than what you're going to be paying, especially what you're going to be paying today. One of the strategies, one of the nuggets that Josh is going to be sharing in this course could literally change your business for years to come. So it's definitely worth the investment. It's worth the new skills. You will be so thankful for them. I just wanted to add that little bit in there, just so there's no surprise when you come in. Like, Josh has been at this for a long time, and he knows this stuff inside out. So it comes super, super easy. But yeah, we're here to help connect the dots as well.
So I appreciate that. Here's a recommendation I would have for you. If you invest, and I would encourage you all, I would treat it like, if you go to like a seminar or a conference, there's like all these ideas that fly at you, and at least part of my process after I go to something like that is, whether it's in the flight home or the drive home or whatever, I try to identify, okay, what are the 1, 2, or 3 things that I'm going to implement first and foremost, right? So most likely, if you invest into the course, you have something in mind that you're looking for first and foremost, right? Like a better follow-up flow for the home value leads that I'm generating, or a better follow-up for the buyer leads I'm generating, whatever it is. Like, go whole hog on that first and get that thing fully like knocked out, and ask for help if you need it. Cause I mean this truly, like, I care about our industry and helping folks succeed in our industry. So like, if you invest in the course and you're confused, you're lost, you reach out to Mike or our support, and like, we'll help you. We'll get our hands dirty if we need to, whatever the case may be. But don't let this be like, entertainment for you, where you go and invest this and you go through it all and you think that's cool. And, it's another thing that goes back on your shelf. Like, hopefully you come looking for something specific, you get that knocked out, and then find, okay, what's the next lowest hanging fruit? That's always what I'm looking for in my business and life. Like, what's the lowest hanging fruit that I can, if I address that thing, that will lead to then, okay, identifying what the next lowest hanging fruit is. But if you try and do all the, don't even think about trying to implement everything in here. Like, pick one thing and implement that, and then pick the next thing and implement that. Anyway, some hands raised and some very kind comments.
Yes, let's begin with Don and then Carolyn. And then anybody else has questions, use the reactions feature on the bottom where you can ask the question and you'll go in that order.
Okay. Hi, Josh. I got 3 quick questions for you. I wrote down over here. The first one is for the home value offers. When people respond stating on the form that they're just curious, do you recommend adding all of these owners into the marketing campaign, or is it better to raise the bar on the form to attract more real sellers? Because I'm finding sometimes I'll get a bunch of these at once, and then I'm like inundated with just curious, and it's, as you know, pretty time consuming to do a thorough evaluation. So I just wanted to get your take first on that.
So I pretend like I don't treat any, how's the way I want to say? We treat every home value lead the same. If they've given me their address, I'm assuming they want information about their home value, and they're getting the same flow afterwards. Because as I said, I've listed several properties that were address only. I'm sure I've listed some that put just curious. I don't even look at that, if I'm being honest. Like I don't even consider that.
Okay.
But something you said in there, I think is important. I don't do like a detailed valuation unless I've had a conversation with them.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So everything we're doing is making is the topic for today, or the concept for today was scale and leverage, right?
Mhm.
So if you're generating a large volume and you're spending 5, 10, 15 minutes on every one, that doesn't scale, and there's not a lot of leverage there. So we use systems and technology to the point where we've had they're conversing with us,
Mhm.
right? And then we'll invest the time personally to put together a more personalized.
So on the front end, okay. So then on the front end, what would you send them for a typical market evaluation? Something that's just quick and easily scalable.
Well, we get them into HomeBot,
Mhm.
and we mail them using Thanks. We mail them a letter packet
Mhm.
that has an RPR mini report in it.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
The next question, are the share codes that you referenced for KV Core, are they available to us that don't use that platform?
That don't use KV Core?
Yeah.
Well, the script, like the templates and all of that, absolutely. The share codes just make it easy to port it over if you're in KV Core. But that's a great question. The scripts, templates, and all of that, like you can take them. You may have to create them, in whatever platform you're using, but we're giving them to you. The share code specifically for KV Core users means like literally you click a button and they're in your account.
Okay, I see. One last final quick question. For the content for the Friday emails that go out to the entire database, what are you typically sending them more often than not?
Here, I'll do you one better. But I show you the exact one that I have teed up for tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you. And that's it, Josh. I appreciate your help with this. Thank you.
Absolutely. It'll take me just like a minute or two to pull that up. So maybe, do we want to go to the next question? And then I'll come back and
let's go to the next question.
Perfect.
Carolyn, go ahead and unmute yourself there.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Marcus.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Josh. I've done your baby boomer course and I love it.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. 2 questions. How different is this from the script vault that you have? And second question is this in collaboration with your Texting Tuesday, or is it completely different?
Okay, good questions. So the script vault is random templates and scripts that you can use that they're like, how do I want to describe that? They're like, things you pull off the things you pull off the shelf when you need a little
Content.
pick me up. Yeah. This is more systematic approach to it, right?
Okay.
So the script vault is more for existing database to re-engage with old leads and so forth, and just not running out of ideas as far as that goes, which is, and quite honestly, that's all built around the Texting Tuesday content, right?
Right.
This is a systematic, formulaic approach and process for for what to do before you would get to a point where you're kind of just grabbing those one-offs here and there, right? So it's I'm trying to think of a good analogy, and maybe one will come to me, but they're, you know, the script vault is not a systematic approach, right? It's like a la carte kind of, I pick this, pick that kind of thing. This is A to Z. Here's how we build a database where we have established ourselves as the local real estate expert, such that when the people in that database get to a tipping point of being ready to buy or sell real estate, they're going to reach out to us. And certainly it's not going to be everybody, right? Like I used an analogy on our coaching huddle this morning is you got to think about one way to think about your database is like your grass, your lawn, right? If you don't fertilize it, if it doesn't get watered, wow, that was a really central PA-ism. Watered, if it doesn't get enough water, and if you allow the weeds to take over, your database becomes this unholy mess. And if you're not mowing it, right? So we've got, we've got to have things in place. And so the Texting Tuesday is an example of how we sort of weed and mow the database, right? Because every time I send out a message to unengaged or inactive leads, I'm going to get some that yell at me and that use not nice words and so forth. And that's okay. Those are weeds in my database that I'm going to pull and throw in the trash, right? Sure. So anyway, I thought that analogy, I wanted to use it again. I used it this morning. I wanted to use it again. Hope that makes sense.
I get it. So it's just, they're two different things, but they're basically, you're still like staying in front of them. You're still like, that's what you're trying to do.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You bet. Oh, so one other way to think about this is the course is more built around the automation part of it, right? The things that you set up one time, and regardless of if you're on vacation, you're with clients, you're with family, whatever. Like the Texting Tuesday, like you have to manually implement that.
Right. Because I see you doing that like every Tuesday, like you're going through the database and sending it. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Awesome. We got Jackie.
Josh, thank you so much. You always give such great value in everything you do. Texting Tuesday, your 100 group, everything that you do is awesome. So thank you for that. In this course, do you talk a little bit about how you integrate these leads into your Smart Alto follow-up?
I don't remember. Let me think about that. So it's in the dispositioning, but there's not really much to it. However, so this is why I was excited to do something like this. If there's something that unclear about that, if you're using Smart Alto and there's something that's unclear with that, we'll create content to clarify that and certainly add that to the course. I'm not doing anything wildly unique on that front. It's just part of the flow that they go into Smart Alto, and Smart Alto is working them from the texting ISA side of things. Let me think. Is there like something specific with regard to Smart Alto that you're thinking?
Just like kind of like how you take it from street text, if it needs to be skip traced, and then how you take it from there and put it into Smart
okay. So
Alto.
it's funny that you mentioned this. So this is perfect, actually. We actually just figured out with Smart Alto a solution for the problem that we were having, that I was having, and a couple other folks in my organization were having, is partial home value leads not getting in there, because by the time you append the data, it's already been API'd into there. So we'll absolutely add a module around Smart Alto, because Mike on my team with Hassan, the Smart Alto founder, figured out a workaround for that. Now, I think that workaround is specific for Street Text and KV Core, but if you're using Smart Alto and you have a different solution, I think because we were able to figure it out in that scenario, it is something that would translate.
I have those platforms also, so that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
The other thing, did you go in and change your the things that were being text in Smart Alto? Did you go in and change the verbiage in Smart Alto that's being texted out?
Very minimally.
Okay.
Very minimally. But that is something that I intend to revisit. And I'll certainly document. I might do that as like a strategy session kind of thing. Maybe we'll do that as a bonus for anybody who invests into the course. We'll do a Zoom and kind of unpack that for those that are interested in the Smart Alto. Done.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I'm making a note so I don't forget. And also, I know I don't want to forget this. Here is my email that is scheduled for tomorrow. Uh-oh. Okay, it is showing the preview. So now they're not always, there are different buckets. So I usually have a greeting at the top, and I usually have a personalized video. It is either a personalized video or a short form video that I have on YouTube. Okay, but there's always video, and it's always me, like they're seeing my face, always. Well, almost always. I suppose I could find one or two where maybe I was traveling or when I had COVID, I don't know, where there wasn't a personalized video, but not most of the time. And, I use the Make It Big app, and because, part of what I'm talking about is, I can't believe it's almost August, right? Then I've got a curated list of properties with a price reduction. I've got that in there. I've got information about a new rent-to-own program that one of the guys in my sales organization locally is having some success with. I'm talking about how, we've got the buyers. So if you're thinking about selling, whatever, I always have a little market snapshot, which is literally just a screenshot from my MLS. And it just, this closing salvo. What you can't see here is what I call my super signature. But I can show you that in a minute, what that looks like, which has like unique value propositions and other ways for people, or other reasons why people getting this would want to reach out and ask questions. But the buckets in here aren't, they vary. So for example, a couple of weeks ago, I had links to PDFs of Keeping Current Matters, KCM. They do home buyer and home seller guides, and their summer guides had recently come out. So I put links to those in there because that's a way for me to provide value. Many times, and I just deleted this content box for this email, but I'll put, if I've gotten some new listings, or if I know I've got some listings coming soon, I'll put that in there. Great content ideas are also like local events that are happening this weekend, right? Like here are fun, 3 fun things you can do with your family here in Central PA this coming weekend. So in the module about this one here, the long-term follow-up tips, etc. I've got like, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 different sort of content bucket ideas that you can use. And if you're using KV Core, we can share. This is this email is an advanced editor email, and we have a Smart campaign that's just a bunch of examples of those emails. So we'll get that share code. I'm making a note to myself. We're going to get the downsizing share code and the weekly email share codes in this for in the course for KV Core users as well. And before I forget about it, this is what my super signature looks like. Whoops. So this is what goes at the bottom every time I put include signature on outgoing. So I'm actually probably might be time to change that image, but whatever. There's a link to my YouTube channel, and then there are some unique value propositions, things that would get people kind of clicking around and curious. And then this is stuff required by the state of Pennsylvania, etc. Other questions?
Questions? Anybody? Now it's the time.
Carolyn, purchase. Thank you. Jennifer, I think, had mentioned. Thank you. Jeff Moss, thanks. Thank you. Carolyn, bonus did not work. I don't know what you mean, Carolyn.
It did. Don't worry. It worked. I got it.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Don signed up as well. Deborah just signed up.
Gene Ruffin asked, what is Smart Alto and what is the benefit? So the Street Text team had Hassan Riggs, who is Smart Alto's founder, on for a session about what it is and all of that. So if you want to deep dive into that, you can go. I think that is on the Street Text YouTube channel. But basically, Smart Alto is a text-based ISA platform with the goal of getting into conversation with your leads, and the end goal of being an appointment on your calendar to have a talk with them. And it's something that I've been using for quite a while. It has helped a ton in as far as setting appointments. A number of folks on here are now using it as well. For me, it is my answer when somebody says, I need to hire an ISA or a VA. Like you're doing yourself you would do yourself well to at least explore that as an option before you go and hire an alternate ISA or VA to do that kind of work.
And as you guys are going through the course, Josh mentioned if there's something you see missing or you want him to expand on, just write him and he'll put it back in, or he'll include it, or develop a session around it.
100%. So Stephen, the way I look at it is it's a living, breathing thing, right? It's not static, it's dynamic. Things change, the market changes. Jackie's question triggered something that I hadn't even thought of including in there that makes sense and isn't applicable to everyone, because if you're not using Smart Alto, it might not matter, but for those that are, it's applicable. And so my goal is to have this be worth every penny and many, many, many times more for everybody in there. So please, if something is unclear, or if you have something that you would like to see added, whatever, I'm all ears. You can email me, or you can email Mike. I'll put this in the chat. He'll love me for this. Mike at growwithjosh.com.
And I know probably a lot of people in their back of their head are thinking, do I have to have KV Core?
Absolutely not. So we've made it, the only reason that the share codes are in there is because that's what I use, and I wanted to make it easy for people using that platform. But everything that you'll find in the share codes, as far as the scripts, templates, etc., they're all in there for you. It's just that if you're using something else, you'll have to recreate them. And it's literally like copy and paste, recreate. It's work, but it's work that once done, you can use it over and over and over and over and over, right? And every lead that comes in. So whether you're using, and honestly, you can take them and put them right into the Street Text platform. If you're using Street Text as your CRM, you can take the scripts and templates and just use it right in there. Or if you're using LionDesk or Sierra Interactive or Commissions Inc. or Wise Agent, whatever you're using, you can use them. You can cut copy and paste, R&D, rip off and duplicate, however, whatever way you want to look at it.
Awesome.
There was a good one in here. Oh, Ernie. How big is your database and do you use KV Core? I do use KV Core. How big is my database? So those 2 scheduled emails that I show will go out to about 9,000 contacts tomorrow morning. And certainly not all of them, I mean, not all of them are in market, and that's okay. Valerie, I'm just getting started. I don't have KV Core with my brokers. Is this something I can still use? Yeah, so 100%. Like if you're just using Street Text as your CRM, you can take the scripts and just use them right in there. Or if you have some other solution that you're using for, for managing your leads, you can use those scripts, etc.
Awesome. Josh, where can people find you? What are your social feeds, Facebook groups, Texting Tuesday, things like along that line where they can start following you and digesting more of this material along with this course?
Yeah, 100%. So Josh Schoenly Coaching YouTube channel, also Facebook page. And, I'm on most every social platform. If you just Google my name if you Google my name or search on the platform for my name, it is confusing spelling, so you might want to copy and paste that somewhere. But I try to meet people where they are. So I'm very active on Facebook, Twitter a little, Instagram. But the Texting Tuesdays, they get live streamed on my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and the Facebook group, which I'll put a link to the group because that's a little bit more. A little bit longer name, but I'll put a link to the group. That's it's an open group, and those sessions get live streamed in there as well.
Last minute.
I just signed up. Thank you.
Last minute questions. This is your time. Don't be shy. Unmute yourself. Ask away. This is for you guys. So make sure that you're asking the questions before we let Josh go.
I'm going back through as well just to make sure. Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. I would really appreciate the feedback, and I mean this, and as does, anyone that has a course with Street Text. Like, we put this together because we want more of you to have, to have success and to create more leverage for yourself and for those interested to, to scale up your business, etc. So, I think this will help. If you think things are missing or there's the opportunity to improve it, please don't hesitate to ask. And I appreciate all of you, and those of you who have already invested. And Beverly, yes, we will be adding a Smart Alto module, 100%. We'll get that in there probably today, because my guy Mike is he's Johnny on the spot. So we'll get some good stuff in there ASAP.
Yes. Everyone's saying you're amazing. Thank you so much. So much value, so much value, so much value. Josh, we thank you for your time. If anyone has any questions about the course or related to this course or just this webinar in general, please let us know. We'll get that feedback back to Josh. And hey, thanks for everybody for attending.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.